Hello everyone and welcome back to CottageCraft, and of course today is a Christmassy episode. We go on some adventures to collect some new resources which I use to decorate my area in a Christmas theme. I build a nice little Christmas tree for my area as well as doing some other decorations, so I hope you really enjoy the video. If you do, consider leaving a like, but let's get started. My first Christmas plan was to get a bunch of snow golems to walk around my area, so I started off by planting some pumpkins. I then went to go and dye my sheep because I needed some red and white wool for some of the decorations I had planned. I also made a spyglass, which I've never actually done in survival Minecraft, so here's me testing it out to see how it works, and I thought it was pretty cool. I then went into the mines to collect some resources, and I was particularly looking for copper, because in the future I want to make a big storage system using the copper golems. They're really cute, and the added functionality definitely makes them worth it. But I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do this storage system, because part of me wants to build an independent cottage that I can have all my storage in, but I know at some point I'm also going to do a bigger build, which means I will probably want a storage space in there. So I'm not really sure whether I want to start on that big build now or whether I want to continue with my small little cottages making a village. I went back to sleep in my cottage and then woke to find a pink sheep in my pen, which I thought was pretty cool. I collected some of the red and white wool that I needed, but definitely need a lot more, so I decided to breed up my sheep. And after tending to my animals, I jumped in my nether portal because I wanted to collect some resources from there. I ended up getting into a bit of a fight with a ghast and attempting to do a return to sender, which you can see didn't go very well, especially when two of them started attacking me at the same time. The thing I was particularly looking for in this trip was a happy ghast, and I heard you could get them via trading, so I found some piglins and attempted to do it that way first. I got some cool things like crying obsidian and blackstone, and I spent a lot of time with this specific piglin, just giving him more and more gold, hoping that he would give me what I wanted. He did give me some ender pearls though, so at least they'll be useful in the future. I then got attacked by this hoglin and decided that I wanted to move a bit further along so that I would feel a bit safer while continuing my trading. I also desperately needed more gold, so started to collect some. I always feel like I need to collect loads in the overworld, forgetting that there's a bunch just on the surface in the nether. I continued trading, but this guy seemed a lot less interested than the previous one. I did get some spectral arrows from him though, which are kind of cool, but again they were not what I wanted. I got attacked by another ghast, which was not so much fun, and continued trying to do the return to sender, which eventually I sort of managed to do. But I needed first to hide and make sure I didn't die, so I hid round a corner and ate some more bread. I desperately needed to get past him to get into the biome where you can find the happy ghasts, so I continued trying to kill him until I eventually succeeded, and he did give me a music disc, which is really cool. I started looking for the happy ghast, and on my second attempt found one sat right in the middle, and then felt that I could exit the nether safely, trying not to die on the way back. It was honestly one of the more successful nether trips I've had. I didn't die, I managed to do some trading and got my happy ghast, which is a super fun thing to get, and I felt quite triumphant being able to head back to my base with my happy ghast and the things that I'd got from trading. It was very dark, but as always, I just had to sprint back. When I head back into my house here, I put all of the stuff that I got back into my chest, so you can have a look. I got some fire charges, the ender pearls, and a lot of things which I think will actually be quite useful in the future. And I took out my red and white wool, ready to get decorated. But I was not quite ready to start decorating yet, and so I went on my first adventure of the episode. I went over one of the mountains near my house, and I was particularly looking for spruce trees, because I think they are a must-have when it comes to building Christmas trees in Minecraft. But I did find this village. There wasn't too much useful there, though I did take some food to continue on my adventure. I thought this landscape I found was particularly pretty, so stopped to admire it for a bit. I love how the two biomes meet with this nice little valley, and these stalagmites coming out of the water I thought were really unique for a Minecraft seed. And after enough time admiring, I hopped back in my boat and saw some trees eventually after going across an ocean. I was super relieved to see them because I definitely just wanted to get back and start decorating for Christmas. I got 2 saplings, which I thought would be enough so that I could start growing them back at my base. And then I hopped back in my boat and came back to a little gastling, which I thought was super cute. I immediately put him on a lead so that he couldn't get away, and I spent ages just looking at his cute little face. I couldn't decide where I wanted to tether him up, but decided over by my wheat field would be good until he grew, or I could decide where else I wanted to put him. After that, I went on adventure number 2. This time I was looking for snow, but I found this really pretty flower field and spent quite a lot of time collecting the different flowers that I didn't have. I don't exactly know what I'm going to do with them. I could just use them for dyes, but I definitely think they're really pretty and I'd like to do something with them. If you've got any ideas, leave them in the comments, and also leave any ideas for what I should name my ghast, because when I came back, I created a harness for my ghast, which had now become a big happy ghast, which was really exciting. I chose a red harness because I thought it made him look particularly Christmassy, especially when you put it on to see the gold accents. I'm not sure how much I'll use him for building. I haven't really tried it that much, but honestly, they're just so cute with their little goggles. I couldn't help but want one. And I do think it's kind of a Christmassy edition. They're just so cute. Honestly, I think he is just such a good thing to have in a base for some character. I had already planted my 2 spruce saplings and harvested all the leaves from one, because usually when I go about making a Christmas tree in Minecraft, I would just improve a spruce tree. I think that this is always something that's kind of been done, so it's definitely not original, but I think it looks really cool and it still sticks with a very Minecrafty theme because it's basically the same tree. I then had been looking at different ways I could use decoration on a Christmas tree, because obviously you can't place a lot of things on leaves, but using this glass and lantern trick, I think it makes it look pretty cute. I didn't like this though, so I felt I definitely needed to add more colours, and as I'd already added yellow, I felt like the more obvious choice was to go with red to match the red and gold. So I went and created some more glass, and then this is the final product. I'm honestly pretty happy with it. For a small Christmas tree, I think it's quite sweet. And now you get to see what the red and white wool was for. Yes, in a very simple way, I just wanted to add some candy canes. I think they're really cute as a Christmas decoration in general, both in real life and Minecraft. And based on the fact that I'm still on fairly early game resources, I thought they were a cool way to incorporate some Christmas vibes into the general area. I was not, however, done there with the Christmas decorations to add to the area, and again went looking for snow. I decided I would head in a way that I hadn't done before, and I found this shipwreck, which usually they're in the water, I think, so it made it quite difficult to try and get to the chest. Also, I think there are normally 2, but I only found 1. And I found a map, but wasn't really too interested in looking at that, maybe for another day. I did seem quite close, but I was still so focused on finding some snow, which turns out wasn't too far away. I saw these ice spikes and immediately got out my boat to race over there and see the snow. Initially, I was going to go straight over there and hop out onto the ice, but after seeing a couple of polar bears, one of which had a cub, I decided it would probably be best to go to the left and just stay away from them for as long as I could. And there was plenty of snow to go around, so I instantly started collecting some with the shovels that I'd brought. I think I probably could have collected more, especially if I'd have made them into snow blocks while I was still there, which I decided not to do. I think I probably just got a bit too excited about the snow falling, which I always think is super pretty in Minecraft, and stopped to take a quick screen grab. I then headed back to my little village, collected some of the pumpkins, and made my first snow golem. They're genuinely one of my favourite mobs in the game, and I love using them, especially around Christmas. I just love their little faces. The main reason I wanted them though was so that they could spread some snow around and create little snow paths. However, this one died pretty quickly. I think it was something to do with my pond, so I made a second one. I then felt like he wasn't moving in the direction I wanted to because he headed away from all of my stuff, so I proceeded to continue to shove him along the path that I'd built so that he could spread snow where I needed him to. I still love him though. Then I headed back into the cave as I am desperately trying to get some diamonds. I already have a few, but I feel like I found way more in some of my other worlds. Unfortunately, I ended up dying and losing all of my stuff, which was slightly annoying, at which point I realised that this witch had killed my snow golem. Understandably, I was quite upset about this, and despite the fact that I was on fire and had absolutely nothing to kill her with, I attempted to kill her simply by punching her, which obviously does not work. I was just very upset about the fact that my snow golem was gone, so I didn't really care. She then gave me weakness, which meant I couldn't keep hitting her, and whilst I contemplated that, I went and got a sword and killed her. She definitely didn't kill me first. That definitely isn't what happened. At least before my snow golem died, he made a pretty good job of spreading the snow around. I think it actually looks pretty decent. Then I headed back into the mines and collected a few diamonds. Not very many though, I think I need to spend a more substantial time down there. And then I decided just to head back while I was completely safe and end the video there. Thank you so much for watching this slightly festive episode of CottageCraft. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and consider subscribing. Also let me know what I should call my happy gas. I hope everyone has a great holiday, and in between episodes you can find me over on Twitch and on Twitter. Also, if you're enjoying this series, please let me know. I really enjoy making these videos, so it's nice to hear when people like them. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.